Of all 243 cities and towns in New Hampshire, 172 of them raised concerns through voter registration percentages, with a total of 61 of them having 100% or higher for voter registration in the 2020 election.
There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Shut up or get shot. Freedom of speech does not apply to politicians like you in the state of New Hampshire.
He went somewhere to Jersey, I guess, and saw some family members.
Yeah.
And they said, I guess they're politicians.
Yeah.
And they basically said, somebody bothers you, we have people that take care of that.
Go to gbforussenate.net to hear the rest of the recordings.
Nothing today is showing evidence of fraud. Right now, this seems to be a case of a perfect storm where so many things happened in order to have this discretion.
There's no indication of widespread voter fraud here in New Hampshire. Folks voted at an unbelievable rate.
Unbelievable rate is an understatement. Multiple New Hampshire towns and an unprecedented voting turnout rate of 100% or higher.
There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Right now, this seems to be a case of a perfect storm.
Here is a map showing all towns and cities of New Hampshire.
Using the 2020 election census data, prepared by members of the NHVIG, we are able to identify specific areas of concern.
The yellow areas indicate between 80 and 89% voter turnout, a red flag for suspicion. The red areas, however, indicate areas of even greater concern with 90 to 99% voter turnout, and in many extreme cases, well over a 100% turnout rate.
There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
High-level indicators of statewide voting anomalies continue to be uncovered, such as the 9% turnout of same-day registrants, which in New Hampshire's 2020 computes to roughly 80,000 voters.
There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Election loopholes in our system, such as these, create easy opportunities for election manipulation and fraud. Here is a chart created from the research of the renowned Seth Keshel, a predominant name on the national level of exposing the 2020 election. It shows both Rockingham and Hillsborough County vote history. You can see the amount of Republican and Democrat votes per year. Looking at the Hillsborough County chart, starting at the bottom working up, you can see the Republican Party grew fairly steadily. The Democratic Party between Clinton and Biden shows a miraculous 24% party growth. Above in Rockingham County, similarly, you see the Republican Party gaining momentum while the Democrat Party was falling flat. Then again, another miraculous growth of 25% in the Democrat Party between the 2016 and 2020 elections. But it doesn't end there. Look at the updated census information on population growth, which doesn't support such a massive growth influx within the Democrat Party. They are high-level indicators or anomalies worth digging into. This graph, generated by NHVIG, is of Windham, New Hampshire's voter machine activity for this election. If you look at how all machines performed, this graph makes it easy to identify only machine number 2, that shows inconsistent readings in contrast to the rest, and that discrepancy was visible all the way down the ballot as shown. That was just an example. Now let's take a look at Merrimack's readings, a New Hampshire town whose charts embody the essence of machine discrepancy. You can visually see the anomalies on 3 of 6 machines, numbers 3, 6 and 9. Now compare these numbers to the overall voter registration at the top. You can clearly see the same here for U.S. Senator and Rep.
There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
And again in State Senator and State Rep election readings, you are seeing the same profile straight down the ballot.
There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Another notable observation was they went with an almost 3.4% growth in vote. They grew almost 10% and their population growth was barely flat. Machine irregularities. We hear it was dust from the ballots, it was folds causing misreads, whatever the excuse, or excuses. Waterville Valley and Rye, New Hampshire. Both were identified in a voting census for having well over 100% voter registration and voter turnout in the 2020. What was discovered in just these 2 areas alone? Commercial addresses were used, non-existent people voted, even dead people voted. They identified people who did not vote, but a ballot was cast in their name, amongst other discrepancies reported. Officials in the state of New Hampshire deemed none of this to be reliable feedback. All findings were met with state pushback at every turn, including rejection of sworn affidavits that were signed by the actual canvassers.
There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Where is the elected New Hampshire leadership? Why are there no investigations taking place? There are over 200 voting machines used in New Hampshire. The same machines are used in 137 towns throughout the state. During the Wyndham audit, only 4 machines were checked, and down ballot candidates only. The same 10,006 ballots were scanned through each of the 4 audit machines, never attaining the same count. These results are just the single town of Wyndham, New Hampshire. What about the other hundreds of the same machines used in the election throughout the state? It is imperative, regardless of party affiliation, that all citizens contact the New Hampshire State Legislature and Attorney General's office, and adamantly demand a statewide full forensic audit on the 2020 election.
There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Shut up or get shot. Freedom of speech does not apply to politicians like you in the state of New Hampshire.
He's talking about he's got a buddy out in a boat in Gloucester. He's got a big 100-flecking fishing boat. He's talking about chumming people. He don't give a fuck. And he's just the guy to do it, man. I know his family, they're all crazy and they all want a shot at whatever's going on, so.
Why did he run in the first place?
He knows something happened, he knows something, and basically he's being threatened.
Threatened to kill.
He went somewhere to Jersey, I guess, and saw some family members.
Yeah.
And they said, I guess they're politicians,
Yeah.
and they're Italian. They basically said, somebody bothers you, we have people that take care of that.
They're politicians.
Go back home.
They're politicians.
Go back home, you let us know what happens.
Yeah.
But spread the word that